You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Good evening. Welcome to Greenie Sports Cards Live, the world's first multi-stream broadcast and live auction for the hobby industry. My name is Jeremy Levine, and I am the man about town. That town happens to be Cleveland, not far from Kent, Ohio, and Kent University, where one of our special guests will be joining us tonight. And we get to do this every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We go live for an hour. We talk to industry influencers, guests, people throughout the hobby. We try and bring you interesting content, talk about the hobby itself, what's going on, the live events, and segue that into what is our eBay Live platform with Alex, who will be joining us later to talk about the live auction, which you can participate on eBay Live and that platform. And of course, at this point, you're probably coming in between Twitter and the X, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and even LinkedIn, all points in between. And we're able to do this every Tuesday, as I said, and get to talk with Greenie, of course, the founder and owner of Greenie Sports Cards, and just have a lot of fun. But this show works because you guys participate. So you're able to chime in with your comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if you have any questions throughout for our guests and or Greenie or myself. And of course, when we get to the live auction portion, which Alex will talk about a little bit later in the show, it's very participatory. You got to tell him what cards you want to see, what kind of content, what teams, what players, and Alex puts those up for auction. And everything starts at $2, and it just gets rolling from there. So that's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't participated, if you're a fan of the hobby industry, join us over there on the eBay Live portion. And of course, tonight we've got a lot to talk about. We've got the National Sports Collectors Convention, of course, the Super Bowl of conventions. Will be coming to Cleveland, the IX Center, here at the end of the month, July 24th through 28th. That's very exciting as the hobby industry descends on our hometown of Cleveland. Greenie will talk about a really unique and innovative show that'll be coming up before then, which will sort of be a prelude and a kickoff to the National Sports Collectors Convention. And we'll talk about that event that we had touched on previously, but there's some really interesting evolutions on that. And we'll talk to Dan Kearsey, who is the founder, owner, and artist of 61st Street Design Studios. He's an award-winning designer, illustrator. He's a professor at Kent State University. So lots of interesting insights on the design world and the hobby industry and some of his creations that we're going to share with you a little bit later. So let's go ahead and welcome in the man himself. That would be Steve Greenberg, a.k.a. Greenie, the man who lets us do this every Tuesday, and then Alex gets to do this with the live auction on Thursday. And Greenie has his hands full between live events and multi-stream broadcasting and buying and selling every day. Greenie, what's going on in your world?
That's a loaded question, Jeremy. Good evening. Yeah, I mean, busy week this week. the 4th and big shows, and then next week in Kirtland. So, and amongst that, price gunning all day, carpal tunnel. So,
Yeah, the
or I'm
hazards
not
of
going
the
to do that again
industry.
for the
We could
last.
probably do a whole show on that of
The texts are about to come in, I'm sure.
yeah. So you mentioned the show coming up in Kirtland. Talk about that, because it really is a unique evolution and an innovation within the industry that hasn't been done before. And I think it's going to be really cool. So let's talk about, first of all, the dates of Kirtland, and then how that show's structured at this point.
So the show is Saturday, July 13th, a little more than 10 days from now. But we decided to try something new with the Friday night because we know it works. Our friend Brad Beeman in Shipshewana does a massive trade night before his show. It's more of like a preview. And we decided that, you know what, we'll use the name trade night, but in essence, it's going to be a card show Friday night. And we decided to make it a community event, in Kirtland and the surrounding cities. And obviously it's open up to anybody. If somebody wants to come from Wyoming, we'd be more than happy to have them. But we just decided to make it free. The tables are free. We don't charge admission in Kirtland, but first come, first serve, bring a box of cards and buy, sell, trade with each other. And then the regular show would be Saturday, 9 to 3. And, over the course of discussions, and it really wasn't a discussion. It was more of a like, what can we do to thank everybody that supports our shows, for 20 years, basically. And we said, you know what, why don't we just make the whole weekend free? So while Saturday's not a free-for-all per se, we're still taking table reservations. We're not charging for those tables. And we're limiting them to one a person so that we can fill, almost 50 tables in there. But we even have extra tables. There's a third room in Kirtland that we don't use, and there's a lot of round tables in it. But we'll open that up, and people can use that. And there'll be tables in the hallway, and it's just going to be a fun, family-friendly atmosphere. And buying, trading, selling. The trading's probably the least of it. I'm sure there's going to be just a lot of buying and selling. And our guy Sig will be there with some hot dogs. So Sig Von Zeppelin, he was a cook back in my former life. He's still a great friend of the family and loves to come out and support us at our shows. And he's going to come there. And Top Notch Sports Club, Anthony Laparo. As tremendous as he is, the support that he gives us, and to give back to the kids. And that's what we're going to do, is a break for our kids 14 and under. He now does bulk submissions for grading, so I'm sure they'll take some submissions, and we'll have all the information in the next 10 days about some different things that we'll have at Kirtland. And that's going to be a jam-packed weekend, Friday and Saturday.
But the essence of that, in case people don't really realize it is a free show. Everything about it is free. The tables for people to exhibit, the admission for people to get in is free. The trade night is free. It's pretty amazing. The breaks for kids 14 and under are going to be free. So nothing like this has ever been done before. Certainly not in this area.
Right.
And if you're a fan of the hobby industry, come on out, celebrate that, and really kind of get ready for the big convention that'll be coming just about 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, the 24th through 28th of July, we'll be at the IX Center. It'll feel like 24 hours a day, but it will be open to close ball carding at that event at booth 537. I can't wait for that. That's with the price guy, we price cards all year long for this one event, and people come to our table. They love it.
Yeah, it really is an amazing production. I have, and we've shared this before, just such a unique perspective on the event, having spent roughly 15 years at the IX Center itself, and I was operations contact for that event all the way back since 2001 for the 5 cycles that it came through Cleveland. So I've seen it from the venue side. I know the venue intimately. We know the production team. We know the media, the communications people. Been very fortunate on this side in my day job, working directly with the convention itself, where we're doing promotions and advertising and getting the word out about the event. So it's really kind of that. I'm actually looking forward to enjoying it from that perspective. Because
that's
throughout all the
makes,
years, I've only been able to see the show when it's outside of Cleveland to actually enjoy it.
And that's what'll make our booth 537 again so unique, because not only are we doing the actual buying and selling of it, but you've actually know it from the other side of producing it, and that's that, the marketing that we've been putting ourselves for the national and other shows obviously is something that really nobody else can do. Logistically, I mean, nobody has the experience together quite like we do.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool to see the type of content that comes out of that ahead of time, and even content before that. We'll be able to talk to Darren Ravel. I believe we announced that in a previous show, but Darren will be joining us on
the 16th.
I think 2 weeks from now.
Yep, 2 Tuesdays.
2 Tuesdays from now, and we'll be able to talk to him. He's the founder of Collect, amongst many other things. Longtime media member. So we'll do that as a preview, and yeah, it's going to be really cool. One thing I did want to share. And I've got a slide here I can pull up. If not, Haley will be able to pull that up for us. But the National made an announcement today that for personal and professional reasons, it hits really close to home to me and to us. And I think this is incredible. I don't know that maybe they did this in previous years. I don't recall seeing it in Chicago, but the ability to impact the local community is going to be pretty awesome. And what they did was, they announced today that they're going to be supporting 3 different charities through their efforts and through an auction. And people can go on and check that out and see the types of items that'll be available. I believe there's 44 items in this auction that will support in honor of the 44th annual National Sports Collectors Convention. And the proceeds will go to 3 different local charities: the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, the City Mission, and the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. And each of them do unbelievable work here in the local community. So the extra attention and revenue that this auction will drive to each of those organizations will have a profound effect moving forward, because the food bank feeds people all year round. The City Mission supports people all across the board in different stages of their struggle. And the Sports Commission is renowned for bringing major events to Cleveland. So we'll continue to have that impact. And you can see right now it's posted on the National Sports Collectors Convention Facebook page and Instagram, and you can go ahead and check that out and get more information about the auction itself. But there's some really valuable pieces in there, and the opportunity to support some local charities. Again, Greenie, I don't know that they did that in Chicago. It wasn't front and center for me, but when I saw those organizations that are being supported and financially and visibly is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I saw that today too. I actually shared it on my Instagram page, and I wrote thank you. That the Greater Sports Commission in Cleveland, as we saw, in March with the Final Four, does an unbelievable job of getting this city ready for events like that. And they've hosted the Special Olympics, and like I said, the women's Final Four, the All-Star games that have been through here. And in the future, when we do indeed get a new stadium and a Super Bowl. But anyway, they do an unbelievable job with the Hall of Fame, with the awards in Cleveland. It's really unlike another city. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I know that's not sports, but the downtown Cleveland and the Sports Commission, what they do in Cleveland, and this is terrific to help them because they need the support to be able to bring these events.
Absolutely. And one day, like you said, knock on wood, when the Super Bowl is here in Cleveland, Brook Park, which is really Cleveland, they'll have a hand in that as well. They brought the All-Star game, the Major League Baseball All-Star game here to Cleveland. They brought the NBA All-Star game and lots of different events, the senior games, and then there's a whole litany of events that are here this summer because the Pan American Games will be here because of their efforts, and just really the city mission and the food bank themselves too, that go to support our community of people that are struggling and need support and need a helping hand and the ability to find better circumstances. So it's really cool. So outside of that, the people that don't know what the event is itself, and that's hard to believe, but there is really nothing like this event. As we've shared before, there will be 650 plus vendors or exhibitors, dealers on the floor. There's a massive corporate area. In fact, I believe it's split into two different areas with the Fanatics of the world and the PSAs and the Tops and the Gary Vaynerchuk businesses of the world. They're all there as a culmination of the year and a celebration. The auction houses, eBay will be there, of course, and so all of that's taking place. And then you've got over 140 superstars that are appearing in Cleveland, and that's from Joe Montana to Dan Marino to stars of the wrestling world and the Indians / Guardians from Manny Ramirez will be making an appearance, and Floyd Mayweather, Chevy Chase will be there. It's pretty incredible. So you've got all this action on the floor for the memorabilia. You've got the celebrity component. You've got the corporate component, and like we said before, a lot of cash changing hands on the floor itself.
Yeah, can't wait. July 24th through the 28th. Kirtland is July 12th and the 13th. And actually this weekend, we're going to head to one of our favorite places, South Bend, Indiana, for a show that they have there. So, the next 3 weeks, we're at it. So
that's for sure. Well, so lots going on, lots coming up, and we're excited to talk to our special guest this evening. He is the owner and artist of 61st Design Studio, Dan Kearsey. He's an illustrator, graphic designer, professor and curator at Kent State University. He's got decades of experience as a designer. He's worked in agencies. He's worked in publishing. And since 2017, I believe he's worked at Kent State as a senior graphic designer for the College of Business there. And he's an award-winning designer in visual communication. And he's done some really cool things. And we'll get to talk to him about some references in his bio from working with the Negro Leagues, Baseball Museum, the Major League Baseball itself. He's worked with the Society for American Baseball Research. So really cool stuff as it relates to the industry. And then he's done his own design work, which appeals to us in particular. And let's talk to him about that. So let's go ahead and welcome in Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. You're enjoying a nice summer day that's not overly humid outside.
Exactly. It's actually really nice out. I figured I might as well take advantage of it and sit outside.
Yeah, tomorrow it's going to rain because that's
exactly right. Yeah, I've got tickets for tomorrow's game, and we were planning on going to stand out there early, getting our Hawaiian shirts, and I don't know if that's really going to happen.
Well, you'll probably get the shirts. They may cancel the game.
Right.
Who knows? Yeah. Very cool. So, yeah, we met Dan. He was at the Medina County Collectors Fair, and before that we had chatted and saw some of his designs and thought, man, this is perfect. And I know Haley's got some screens that she'll share. But so tell us, how long have you actually been doing the 61st Street design? But prior to that, I mean, you grew up around design and graphics, right?
I did, yeah. I mean, design is what I do. But no, I mean, just like growing up, I mean, my grandpa, he was like an old school printer, laying out the type, on a but no, it was really like, when I went to school at Kent that like I got into graphic design itself, because originally I was just like a fine arts major, and I switched over to the VCD for the graphic design. And I mean, that's kind of like when it started. And I've just been doing it since, just, doing that illustration, working at Kent now. I've been there for 7+ years now, and it's been fun, working there, teaching there, and then, doing my own thing on the side.
When did the thought of actually making the trading cards come into
That
your mind?
that actually started during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day I was just sitting there with my iPad, and I don't know, I had nothing to do. And I started like not even doing my own thing, like just drawing like cards. Like I think I did like a whole set of like a player from each team from the 90s. I can't remember exactly. It might have just been the 90s in general. I can't remember. But I did that. And then once I started posting the stuff like on Instagram and stuff, I realized like there was like a bunch of people doing it. Like not really like just like illustrating, but doing like handcrafted card art. So, like taking the cards apart and cutting them and doing all kinds of stuff with them. So then I started doing that as well for a little bit. But then after, when was it? It was during when Topps started doing their Project 2020.
Right.
There was a few of us who were like, let's just do our own 2020. So like we basically like, just did the same players that they were doing. And I think that's like when it started. Like I was trying to be like a little more like experimental with it. And but I mean, it's totally changed. I mean, from then till now. But I mean, yeah,
I mean,
since then,
yeah, when we were kids, we all had cards,
yeah,
growing up, and that's what COVID did is it brought that memory out to a lot of people. They went in their closets, they looked at cards.
right,
Now, I won't speak for Jeremy, but I'm kind of, well, like Jeremy and I can't create our own. Well, I actually Jeremy has created a lot of cards, but the drawing part of it is not our forte. You know, and you are actually drawing these cards. You're not taking pictures of them. You're actually
right,
creating your own art with these cards.
yeah. Um, like this one here, this like Tatis, like it was like when the whole thing came when they were wearing the lucha libre mask kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like I just kind of did. I can't remember. There was actually like a series I think that was kind of out that was kind of showing these like landscapes and stuff. So I did kind of base it off of that. That was actually the only card I did like that. I had this whole plan that I was going to do like a whole entire series of that, but it just didn't happen. But yeah, just stuff like this. Like obviously, the photo of this like in the Phillies uniform, but
Right.
then when he was with the Brewers, I'm like, well, I'll just make him in a Brewers uniform, and then I had like a chase card, so there was like one person would get the one in the Phillies uniform. So that's what I was doing for a while. Like I would do like a run of 10 cards, and there'd always be a chase card involved. With this one, I think I was actually on Twitter, and someone said, "Oh, you should do a Hojo," and then like Howard Johnson himself commented on it.
Did
And
he?
and he was like, go for it. I want to see it. So that's how that one came about. And so yeah, that was cool. But yeah, I do that. I'll usually always include like stickers with them. Like, so like you see there like the 20 and then the World Series, like 86. Those are stickers that would come with the cards.
The Lionel Messi one I saw when you were set up at the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that one's really cool. I think that one's my favorite, the Lionel Messi.
Thank you. Yeah, that I just started. I was kind of like just getting tired. I mean, I'm fine, illustrating them. I mean, it's still illustrated, but like, I mean, just doing things like in a differently. So like, I mean, like with the Messi and the Connor and Quan. Those ones, like I would, illustrate it. I print it on transparency, and then I get like holographic paper, like adhere it to that, design the back, and then I put it in like that like PSA style looking cases, and then going forward I'm not gonna do this. I'm just gonna stick with the plastic like PSA style, but then like with these, then I like got the plastic acrylic slab that like went with that, because I'm like, let's
it
make
was a
it look.
production. I remember I commented. You have the holders in a holder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's cool, but it's like,
It
like,
is.
okay, is it like, is it really necessary?
But
But
the design itself and the drawing, I mean, that's really where you get into it. And yeah, Honus Wagner there, and
yeah, that was like a giveaway. Like I used to I mean, it hasn't been that long. Like whenever COVID started, like for every year, like whoever bought something from my shop, like I would send some, like, because I have all their addresses like from shipping, so I'll send out something. So like anyone who bought, what was this in 2022, got these like Honus Wagner cards, but like I made it look like it was like his uniform said North Pole. So it was like kind of Christmas related. Then there was like little variants like to make it look like a photo negative, and I'd put some of that like sparkly paper over it, so some look like it was like cracked ice or something like that. I'll just do something.
Not everybody can say they found an Honus Wagner card, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
You've got a Stephen Kwan, of course. This is near and dear to us in Cleveland. We flashed that. We'll come back. I want to show one because you've done a fair amount of baseball. I thought this was really interesting. The one you did for this guy here, his rookie card. He didn't necessarily play baseball. We know him as probably one of the greatest football players of all time. But there you've got a Tom Brady card.
Yeah. I remember like when they were talking about, they're like, oh, they're gonna, at the time they're like yeah, there's talks that they're gonna put out like a Tom Brady out, like in like packs or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna make one. And I didn't know what they were doing, but like I just used, I mean, there really wasn't many references out there, so like that image of Tom Brady, and then I just kind of put like the Expos logo back there. Had like a little sticker that came with it. I think I actually still have some of these. But yeah, I wanted to do it. I thought it'd be really cool.
It was very cool. And then back to baseball, but more pop culture.
Yeah.
We've got one of our favorites here in Cleveland, the man, the myth, the legend, Ricky Vaughn, Wild Thing.
Mm-hmm.
With the Guardians.
Exactly. I mean, that was
the Guardians.
Like, yeah. I'm like, let's like, I think it was like just when the Indians went to the Guardians. And I'm like, let's make a Ricky Vaughn, like, and we'll like, pretend Major League was made, like, that like they were the Guardians, not the Indians. So I mean, basically, just drew Ricky, but like, put him in Guardians gear.
But in 1989, which I believe that's the year the movie came out, right? Or 88? Yeah. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Future Star. That was a popular one. And then I did another. Actually, you know what? I didn't do anything with it. I did another one that just said Cleveland on the jersey, but it never went anywhere. I just have it in my files.
I wonder if because he's not a real person, he's a mythical player in a movie, if this would be considered a one of none.
Maybe.
Cue the rim shot.
Yeah.
And
other than that, like, yeah, look at that. So yeah, Ian Crucial. So that's autographed, or is that autographed by you?
No, that's autographed. So
okay.
I do cards for Ian from Newfound Glory. I met him through a shirt company called Roosevelt's. I posted some of my work in there one time, and he reached out to me asking if I'd want to do a card for him that he likes to pass things out like while they're on tour. And I'm like, oh, that'd be sweet. So this is the 3rd year card I did for him. But every picture has him wearing a different Roosevelt shirt. But with these ones here, he kind of wanted it based off of like the like a Grand Prix type card, like a NASCAR card. But also like with that, like you see a lot of the cards like with it kind of look like they have like the stained glass like window kind of behind them. So we kind of did that, like used him, did the stained glass, based some of the elements off of the NASCAR cards. The card that you see under his name that looks like a Garbage Pail Kid.
Garbage Pail Kid, yeah.
That was from the year previous. But what I did with this is I made stickers. I made these into stickers, and then you can't really see it, but there's like kind of like how the old Garbage Pail Kids were. Like you'd be able to peel it off and almost be like die cut, like around the body. So that's what that is.
That's
so
awesome.
You would get those, and I think we did like 20, 25 of those.
Have you seen any of your cards like on the secondary market yet?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
For a while there was not so much recently, but like when I first started doing it, and then especially like during COVID, I feel like everyone was just buying stuff. I would see like a lot of those same cards. I'm like, that's really cool. Some of it was like kind of ridiculous because I mean, if someone wants to pay for it, fine. But like, you see someone putting like only 10 made, $500, and I don't know if anything ever happened with those, but you'll occasionally see it, and it's pretty cool. Like, it's kind of like, oh,
there will be a
cool
time.
Relevant to Cleveland, Ohio. This Back to the Future play happens to be running at Playhouse Square right now. This is a really cool one you did of Marty McFly. Yeah, that's by far my favorite trilogy of movies, Back to the Future. And at first I was just drawing Marty like in like part 3. And then I decided like I should make this into a card. But then I thought like, being like 1885, let's obviously like there really weren't like, whatever, like the cards out there, but like, like make it like a tobacco card.
Sure.
And then like, the Palace Saloon, that's like the saloon from the movie. And then like the stuff in the I can't remember what the firearms, the Colt, like that's on the variant card. And I don't know why I did a zombie variant. I think it might have been around Halloween. And then I just picked up some packs of cards, Back to the Future cards that buy a card, get a pack of Back to the Future cards with it.
So they have Back to the Future too. I just was always curious why they never made, and I know you're not going to go back, make Back to the Future 1, but that's where they started with Back to the Future 2 movie cards, not Back to the Future 1.
Right.
I found that to be interesting. I actually just saw, I don't know if Jeremy, if you saw it, like Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox was just on stage with Coldplay. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
That was really cool.
They played Fix You.
Yeah, and I watched that. It was like 8 minutes. I watched it last night. I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah, that was cool. I'm excited. We're actually going on Sunday for the 1:00 show for the Back to the Future. So I'm excited to finally see that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that should be cool.
Yeah, I've been like, when it came out, I think, what did it start in England, I think? And I'm like, I'm never going to get to see this. And then they brought it to Broadway. I'm like, all right, that's doable, but still didn't go. And then I'm like, oh, Cleveland. I don't need to go anywhere. I'm like, just.
Playhouse Square it's not a hidden treasure because it's very public knowledge, but
yeah,
I mean, some of the things that come down to Playhouse Square are pretty terrific. Cleveland in general, like we touched on with the Sports Commission, the Rock Hall, Playhouse Square. There's a lot of things that come to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot in Cleveland.
I think that's what makes the National so unique here in Cleveland as well, is because the IX Center is essentially on an island, and if you're going to the show, you're going to the show. But there's so much to do outside of the event that people who are coming here, especially if they're coming for the first time, they're going to be really pleasantly surprised with the city, and that's very cool. So, Dan, I wanted to ask you, like, with all these cards, where does the inspiration come from? And what might be the trigger for you to say this is going to be my next card, my next design?
Well, I think a lot of it is either if like currently, honestly, so the last 3 cards I did were the Messi, the Connor, and the Quan, and all of those like just came like really like I saw people saying, oh, they'd like to see that. My son said, you got to make a Quan card for my friend, and I'm like, why? And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then I'm like, I just made it like an actual card. But a lot of times, like I'll like make lists. Like sometimes, like I'll like make lists like of every position of players I'd like to see. It didn't happen, but I think last year I was gonna end up doing like players from like each position, and then I was gonna throw in some other players, or I thought about doing like some mascots, even throwing in something like umpires and stuff, which you don't really see like a lot of. But I mean, honestly, really, it's just a lot of, what sounds interesting at the moment, or, who would I like to have a card of?
You could do Enrico Palazzo from Naked Gun if you're going to do umpires.
Right.
Right. The pop culture thing, I really think there's a niche for that in, not only the custom and the art designs, but definitely in like the mainstream cards, right? The pop culture, and Leaf does it, and they do sticker autos, but
right.
I mean, I would, a Michael J. Fox on card autograph, and I know the signing now is
right.
next to impossible, but I mean, things like that would just be unbelievable. Or, I know Topps at one point, they were doing, they had, it was 2014 Topps Archives. They did Major League, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have everybody. Wesley Snipes wasn't in that. And I think Lou Brown might have passed by then. But, man, cards like that, I think would just take off, man. Movie, Field of Dreams, right?
Right.
Things like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of something like I thought about just doing. I actually had a guy reach out to me asking about making a whole entire, because Back to the Future, like line of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I have like my whole list, people who I'd like to like, see made. And who else? I did one of Dottie Hinson from League of Their Own. That was a fun one. But no, like just the movies in general, I think, because I mean, really, I mean, I love sports, but like I love pop culture. So it's like, if blending those two together. I actually had, there actually was a guy from, you mentioned it, from Leaf, who actually messaged me about Ricky Vaughn. And then he's like, well, it couldn't have like, the Guardians stuff on it. So like I drew up a different, that's what it was. That's when I said I had one for that just said Cleveland on it. I sent that over, but that was the last I heard from him. So
hey, at least somebody, but they saw it.
Right, exactly. I mean, they saw it.
We know where they'll be in 2 weeks, so we can find them for 3 weeks from now.
Yeah. So do you like the whole? Is there like an artist like group? Not a group, but like, are you watching other artists that are making card designs too? Is that like,
Yeah. I mean, there's like a whole group of us. We have like I know there's people who aren't involved in it, but I mean, we basically have like a whole Instagram chat.
Sure.
And it's just, I mean, there's all of us from like all over the country. We have one guy from Canada. We used to have one guy that was in Paris, but I don't know what happened to him. But I mean, no, like, I mean, everyone's doing different stuff. There's a few others that do like the illustrative stuff. Like, there's another local guy, Eric Kittleberger. He does a lot of stuff, like illustrated. Scott Schallman, he was at the Medina show. but then other people are just doing like, their own thing. Like, I mean, there's people like making cards, but then like what they're doing, they're taking the actual, like, I'm going to get it wrong because I don't do it myself, but like taking like, I could be wrong here, but let's just pretend like he took like a refractor or something and they somehow like put like chemicals on it so they can like take it apart in layers. So then like they're like the one guy will put like different like rocks behind it, but I mean it's like, I mean like smooth and like different. It's really cool. I mean, all kinds of stuff out there, just kind of get inspiration from.
I think what this speaks to a little bit is there's been a fear within the industry of consolidation, and there's only one or two companies that control all the rights, but it sort of proves that there's plenty of room for artistry and fans and artists to contribute to the industry and find and do that in unique ways and represent. It's fair to say, none of the cards we showed of your artwork had licensed uniforms or content with it, but it's very clear what it's representing. And I think it goes to show that if you have a creative spark and you're inspired by sports or pop culture, and there's a pathway to create within this industry.
Oh yeah, there definitely is.
We talked about earlier, Dan, or mentioned earlier about your involvement with the Negro Leagues Museum, baseball museum. Talk a little bit about that project and how that came about.
Yeah, that started with, again, I think it started during COVID. But it kind of started a lot. I'm trying to think when it actually began. It was with Sean Gibson, who is Josh Gibson's great grandson. He was doing like a campaign, and it was to, it was for Josh Gibson, but then it was also all these other organizations like Buck Leonard and whatnot, like, just trying to make like the Negro League stats known and stuff. It was like this whole thing, and now they are known and like put into MLB. But with that, at first it was doing like there was like a group of artists, and like everyone was doing Josh Gibson cards. So we got like certain pictures we were allowed to use like as reference, different like some other graphics, logos and stuff like that, and all of those were used for a campaign, just to make like Josh Gibson and the Negro Leagues in general known. And then on top of that, there was going to be another one, and I think it was with Buck Leonard, but that one didn't happen with all the artists. But there was just some work done like for like some charity events. I'm trying to think, like just some smaller pieces of art. Like there was some art I did that were just of like their jerseys. Like it was different. Like I still did like the trading cards, then I tried to do something a little different, like as like just pieces of art someone would want to hang. There was a lot involved, but then it kind of dwindled as far as like with the artists. I mean, not in a bad way, it just kind of went into a different direction.
Do you like more doing graphic design or actually creating the art yourself? Because I know there's a lot of graphic design you do that's like at the Akron airport or in different locations. What do you enjoy doing the most?
So I like doing both, but I mean, I think I like doing, I love doing design, but I prefer to have at least some type of illustration element involved in it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like a lot of times that's not going to happen. But like, if it's like a branding project, obviously like you have like a lot of like, your own like free will with that, like, adding like different graphics to it. But I mean, if I get to draw something, I mean, I prefer that over than, just creating a billboard or something like that. depending what it is. Like, I mean, if it was like a tabletop book or something like that, I mean, that, and depending on what the content is, I mean, that story might be different. But yeah.
So the studio in Ravenna, where can people find a lot of your art?
It would just be online, 61ststreet.com.
Mm-hmm. But I know that isn't there a place that people can actually go to?
Yes.
Right?
I have all my stuff actually at the Popped Art Space.
Right.
So I mean, if people go there, which is it's in downtown Ravenna. It's right on Main Street. You can't really miss it because Ravenna downtown isn't very big. So I mean, it's just on Main Street. It's a big sign that says Popped, and it's right in there. But no, I always have stuff in there. And a lot of stuff I have in there, like, I don't even really put on my website, just because it kind of gets confusing. Because, like I said, like, you know, like, I won't go up there all the time, so I don't want to be like, oh, so and so bought this, and then I go there like, oh, it's already gone, you know. So it's like I'll just kind of keep stuff. Certain stuff I'll keep with me. Certain stuff I'll keep there.
Have other people besides like Howard Johnson that you've drawn seen your work?
There has. I got excited. Okay, so I mean, it's not like anything. Like, you know how you can see if somebody saw your post on Instagram.
Sure.
Like, I got excited because Lindor did see like something I did of him. And so, like, you know, I've taken a screenshot showing that. I'm like, hey, like, we do that all the time, like in our chat. Like, it's like, hey, look who looked at my card. Stuff like that. There was, what's the guy's name? Pat Light. Does that sound familiar?
Maybe. Yeah.
Was he a pitcher? Obviously, there hasn't been like a lot, or at least that I know of.
Yeah, but still,
yeah.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It is very cool. So a lot of our friends and viewers, they know full well at this point our relationship and affinity with Cleveland State and Cleveland State basketball. The roots go deep there, but coincidentally, both for Greenie and our roots go very deep to Kent State University as well. Greenie is a graduate of Kent State University. He's a Golden Flash. My father called play-by-play for basketball and football in the late 70s. And we're going to be literally contributing to the university when my son heads off there in the next month to attend school there. So I would regret not taking the opportunity to ask a professor there in the design space if you had any advice for either incoming students interested in this space or anybody in the industry that's interested in kind of design and marrying pop culture and sports together. What's a bit of the synopsis that you would give without giving away your course here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just tell them. I mean, if they were interested in all of that kind of stuff, I mean, meet with people, meet with groups, ask questions. Don't be afraid to come out of your shell if you're introverted. Because I mean, that's like the best way to bring everything together and find out what it is you want to do. I don't know. I mean, there's just do it. Just give it a shot. I mean, if you find out like it's not what you want to do, move on to something else. Like for me, like I started in marketing, and then I went with fine arts, but then I was like, I want to actually do something more with this. So I went to VCD. And is that even answering your question?
It certainly helps. Yeah, I think one thing that came to mind as you were sharing is art and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So like you said, you just do it. not be afraid to take that step, or not be afraid to just put pen to paper or mouse to pixel and just get in there and do it. And if you like it, as an individual, then I think that's satisfactory enough.
That's the thing. And like, I try to tell like students and artists, like, you get like a lot of people who are like really discouraged, or like, just don't have that like self-confidence. Like, they'll either say like, I mean, there's people who've come up to the art space and be like, oh yeah, I take photos, or I paint. And I'm like, oh, like, let me see it, or you should show your stuff or something like that. And they're like, oh, well, I just don't think anyone's gonna really want to see that. And I'm like, look around here. I'm like, nobody's stuff is the same. And I mean, what one person likes, someone else isn't gonna like. I mean, someone's gonna like something else. Like, it's like everyone has like a different point of view. I'm like, some people like realism, some people like abstract. It's
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. So I mean, you might not think, like, even like in design, like, if you have a rough time like in one class, like, don't think like, and there are professors out there who will say like, and I've been told like early on, like, you're not going to be a designer. And at first, like, it was discouraging, and it was like, okay, I guess I should find something else to do. But then it was like, well, look at me now. Like it sometimes it's just like your mindset. Like, sometimes you need to move on, like take some different courses or something like that, or like, it just like do things a little differently to like get into your groove before you realize what it is like you're doing. Right.
I'm sure that you had some of your own designs that you didn't like and they sold.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's exactly what you were saying, and that's what we gathered out of that. I mean, the people that are getting into the design and the graphics and the artistry, I mean, who's to say that somebody's not going to like it?
Yeah, you just don't know.
Right.
I mean, everyone has their own tastes.
Well, that's great advice to kind of put a bow around this, for sure. Is don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and you never know. So,
right.
Dan, share again where people can find you. We got the website up there again. Where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so there's my website. On Instagram, it's 61st Street _design studio. If you type in 61st Street, you'll find me. On Twitter, I think it's the same thing, 61st Street. And
what's the next art festival that you may have coming up?
Well, the next thing I really have coming up is currently I have some stuff at Pop. There's a show currently going on. That's going on through the July 12th. Yeah. And then I don't even know why I didn't bring this up. Gonna take a month off, but then September, October, we've got like a baseball show actually happening at Pop. So I've got 6 or 7 artists right now that'll be showing like actual, like, like their artwork. And then like I've got around 15 to 20 of the card artists I've talked about. They've been sending me stuff that I'm going to display as well. And I don't know, I'm trying to do more with this one because like I've actually have like, like a passion, for the sport and everything. So I'd kind of like to, I don't know. Someone I saw that was just like in Kent, like in a newsletter. She does work. She was with the Negro Leagues in Sabre, and I told her, but she's going to be out of state for the opening. But I'm like, that'd be kind of cool to have someone come in just to speak. Sure. Or then I'm trying to think of something else like throughout, those 2 months, like something like to get like the kids involved too. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Well, Dan, we can't thank you enough for joining us this evening.
But
We
we'll talk
appreciate you
about that
supporting Greenie
event.
Sports Cards on the event side and on the broadcast side. And we look forward to seeing your artwork and having you back again.
That sounds great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. Dan, thank you very much. I'll reach out about that event. We'd be happy to help.
So yeah, let's we're up we got a tight schedule today. Our thanks to Dan Kearsey from 61st Street Design Studio and professor out of Kent, award-winning design professor. We wanted to get Alex in here real quick before he actually goes live on eBay, and we'll welcome in Alex. Alex, good evening.
What's up, guys? How we doing tonight? Good.
Yeah, we're back at it for another Tuesday night, and
I know
we had a big weekend at Broadview. I know there's some things that you picked up that you'll have out, and that was a great show.
Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up tonight. My favorite thing, if you guys missed the show Saturday, we did our first of these, the new 2024 Leaf Pop Century. These were awesome. They totally revamped these things. They have, what did we get? We got a 1-of-1 triple of, it was like Martin Sheen, and I don't even know the correlation of the actors, but they fixed all the cards in terms of, they have 1-of-1 unsigned proofs on the auto part, so no more confusion as to what this stuff is. It's awesome. I want to open one of these just so that I have an example.
Do it.
Open
it now. Open it right now.
All right, we're gonna rip this one right now.
Yeah, we'll rip it live at the end of the show.
I use this Jimmy Garoppolo as an example for the celestial stuff all the time. So why don't we do one over here live? This will be our example one, so it better be awesome. If this stinks, I'm gonna be so sad. If you've never done these before, they're like the most. Oh, there's this new pack trick too. It's really killing me. New pack trick on these things. Let's pop it over here. Jose Ramirez gonna go to sup right here. Give me something sweet. I saw that this was oriented this way. I hate getting spoilers. Retro TV. We got one of these. Actually, we got a William Shatner on one of these. So this better be cool. I'm seeing the hair. This is definitely a Brady Bunch girl. Or guy, honestly. Who is this? Chrissy Michael?
Who is that?
Christy McNichol.
Yeah.
What's she from? I don't know. I did not watch 70s television. Family, Christy McNichol. All right, and then the famous YouTube, pull up the IMDb.
Yeah,
Christy
she's
McNichol.
an actress. You'll find some TV and some movies.
She was in what is this show? Family drama. But what is this show? I think this one might have been a stinker. I think we saved somebody. In the TV drama Family, which won 2 Emmys. She was the teenage daughter Buddy Latila.
Oh, whatever.
Lawrence.
That's
All
what
right,
they look like.
Haven't seen it, but I mean,
we just said
they
we
look
had
awesome.
it done, but that's okay.
The good news is we saved one of the boys on a little stinker, but now we know what these things look like forever. It's got the 1-of-1 proof on there.
So to let everybody know, we're streaming live right now, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, LinkedIn. But to participate in the auction, it's a whole other experience over there with over on eBay. So there's a whole other comment section. You've got the ability to bid. And Alex, everything starts at $2, correct?
Oh yeah, $2 auctions all night. Basketball, baseball, football. We get new slabs in. We're doing a couple packs throughout the evening. We should go for about 2 hours, but sometimes it's longer, sometimes shorter. It just depends on what you guys want to see. So go over there, jump in the chat, let me know what you're looking for. I've got everything right over here. I can find it for you. The more loud you are, I'll respond. But boys, it is almost top of the hour. I'm jumping to the other side.
You got to head on that one. We'll finish it. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Alex. See you over there.
I will see you in a bit. Enjoy, everybody. I'll see you over on eBay Live.
All right. There you have it. Head on over to eBay Live, Greenie Sports Cards, and check it out. Yeah, very cool stuff. Those Pop Century packs are awesome. We got Chuck Norris and Ray from Star Wars. He said all kinds of interesting stuff. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here, too. We got to cut out by 8 o'clock. So, Greenie, our thanks to you to letting us do this as we do every Tuesday night. And Alex will be back Thursday as well on eBay Live. So,
cool. Jeremy, thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
My pleasure. We'll see you